All right, everyone. The other day, Trump went on Hannity and gave his first major, lamestream media interview since he was honk defeated by Biden. And it was funny because the big takeaway for a lot of people was that he hinted at the possibility of a 2024 run. We already knew this, though. Trump has been alluding to it continuously in his little pressers that he puts out to his email list. He's talking about possibly launching a social media site. Now, if he intends to run for the presidency, I would assume he'd have to divest himself of that when that comes around. I think there's definitely a good possibility, but when he says, well, I'm very strongly considering it, basically there's a 99% chance, part of that is to take a reading of people's reception of the idea of him running. Right now, there are certainly a lot of people as well that want DeSantis to run. Trump, if he runs, despite the fact that he's the quasi-incumbent in that sense, probably would go through a primary process that could actually get messy. And if he thinks that there's any possibility of not winning that process, he won't run. Just to be clear, if DeSantis gets in early, or postures as though he's done more than form a basic exploratory committee, Trump's reluctance to run will rise. That is the case. I thought that the more important part, though, was where he basically questions whether Biden has autonomy. And he's using similar terminology to what I've used, which is funny, because, he did tweet me out, so maybe he's watching Styx Hexenhammer Spoon Clank videos. Wouldn't that be funny? He's there with his bunny slippers in the Mar-a-Lago. He's watching like me or Tim Pool or something. I'll get more fair news from someone like us than he would from fucking the people at Fox, ironically enough. He should just get a YouTube channel, although I think he's banned, so, sucks. He should get a BitChute channel. He should be using Odyssey and Rumble. Please, Trump staff, if you see this, get him aboard. Links in the description. By the way, get a Minds account, too. But he's talking about essentially the fact that Biden doesn't really make his own decisions. He doesn't act with agency. He's got other people that are pulling the strings. Of course. It's good judgment by Trump. The fact is that Trump is one of the few mainline politicians that doesn't mince words, right? At least certainly from the conservative side. Conservatives tend to be more stuffy and also afraid to air their grievances. Leftists, they poop all over themselves, and like a tornado, then they hurl it around the room, and they don't get called out for it because it's expected behavior. Conservatives typically don't. And Trump is beyond conservative. He's an actual conservative, which is what we haven't seen since first term Ronald Reagan. It's funny because Bush the other day, poor sad sack, and he's looking like an aged chimpanzee now, George W. He comes, well, the Republican Party's changed a lot. Yeah, thank goodness. It's gotten a lot better. The Republican Party was bullshit up until a few years ago. Cowards, neocon corporate cutthroats, bullshitters. People who would tell you, well, I'll give you the moon on a stick, and then they give you a moon-shaped sticker. Hey, look, it's the moon on a stick. Ha ha ha, I tricked you. Yeah, vote for me again next time, you dumb fuck. That's basically what the Republicans were before the populistic movement of Trump. The earliest reckoning really is the Ron Paul thing in 2012, or maybe a little bit of the Tea Party. You get an overhaul of the party. It's hysterical, by the way, watching. The same Democrats that flipped out at the Tea Party and said they're Nazis and conspiracy theorists, all of a sudden they have no problem with those same members of Congress so long as they don't like Donald Trump too much. All they have to do is not praise populism, and all of a sudden the stain, the scarlet letter of R for racist is washed magically away because of their conversion to the lamestream. It's funny watching cowardly Republicans, rank after rank, they get in there, we're going to change everything, and then they cuck out. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene with her America First caucus agenda. It's bullshit. Biden doesn't have autonomy. Of course not. Not even a little bit. Trump is completely correct. And of course he has to go on Fox because it's the only network that'll allow him on. The other ones have shut him out completely. And basically you're down to 3 people, on the Fox network, I think, that would have him on. Gutfeld would do that. It's funny, his ratings blew everyone out of the water, but then they were complaining about how somehow he had failed. It was interesting to watch. Hannity and Tucker Carlson. And that's just because they want to be the brown milk, as Chris Whalen, CPA, by the way, would say. By the way, you can get his book on Amazon. It is a really good read. It's about basically branding and becoming unique in order to succeed. I happen to agree with his summation, generally speaking. Chris Whalen, CPA, Be the Brown Milk, if I remember correctly. Good book. Several copies of it, actually. No, Biden's not autonomous. He doesn't even choose what he eats. He doesn't choose anything about his life. This is, by the way, a breach of decorum for Trump. When he was in the White House, he was actually autonomous. Like, he would suddenly, it seems, from the outside looking in, he was the sort of president, like an old-style president, like, well, I'm the president, fuck you, I'll do what I want to do. Like a Lyndon Baines Johnson, maybe, or something. So, like, if he suddenly wanted to go take a state visit that hadn't really been planned beforehand, you wouldn't be able to dissuade him, necessarily. If he wanted to make a military decision and you said, Mr. President, we can't do that, he'd say, I'm the commander-in-chief, of course I can. It's my military, fuck you. Oh, you're a 4-star general, well, I'm a 10-star general, I'm the president, fuck off. Biden is the exact opposite. He's like a Bush, like an Obama, like every president since Ronald Reagan lost his mind, essentially, other than Trump. Basically, surround yourself with advisors and staff and so forth. Again, a stuffy bore fest of establishment lamestream assholes, and do what they say and just be sort of there. It doesn't help that Joe Biden is pushing 80 years old and he clearly has cognitive problems. You don't suddenly admit to a border crisis that you've been schooled on, I guarantee, by his staff, drilled 100 times. Don't use the term border crisis. It's bad optics, to the point where the White House had to come out and countermand the President of the United States the other day. Biden doesn't have authority or agency or autonomy or any synonymous term. Of course not. Now, Trump 2024. Would I support him? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see him go Grover Cleveland on these assholes. Even if he gets stymied again by the weaklings in the Republican Party and by the pathetic efforts of the Democrats, even if he gets hit with another wall of MSM propaganda, and by the way, people, he would, even if he would be pushing 80, which no longer apparently matters in U.S. politics, yeah, I'd support him. I would support him as well over DeSantis, gladly, any day of the week. I'd be looking at DeSantis 2028 at that point. Yeah. And if Trump says, well, my son wants to run, Don Jr. 2024, yeah, I could potentially see that. I do like Don Jr. He's more tech hip than his dad. Like, Donald Trump doesn't even own a computer. He was bragging about this. Well, I still use a courier to carry my correspondence around. I don't even own a computer. It's like he tweets. He has a smartphone, but for some reason, he's a boomer. He might not realize it's basically the same as a smaller laptop at this point. Shh, nobody tell Trump that I said that. Yeah, Don Jr. is pretty cool. Eric Trump is pretty cool, too. No, most of his families, it'd be funny if Melania ran, although she's from Sylvania, I think it is, so I don't think she can. By the way, that's the other thing, the one thing that really pissed me off about the Trump White House, we didn't get to see enough of his wife. Really seems like a sweet person. And also, she has that same cutthroat mentality. I loved that leaked phone call where she's like, fuck the press, because, like, I'm doing the Christmas decorations and fucking I hate Christmas because, they, if I do it too extravagantly, they say I'm being a rich bitch and all stuffy and shit and a white supremacist. If I make it more spare, like postmodern or something, then they say I'm not trying hard enough. I just can't win with these people, and so I just shut them out. I actually respect her quite a bit more for that. When I saw that fuck Christmas phone call that they leaked, her so-called friend, I guess, leaked, in my estimation, she became 10 times better as a first lady. I loved it. See, I would have loved to have seen that fire, that spiciness on the national stage, but she was too busy with Barron, honestly, because she's also a mother first and foremost. Exactly what the nation needed, by the way. Some decorum in the White House and someone who can make their own fucking decisions. And according to Trump and anyone else with a clear mind, Biden's not one of them. That's about all. Peace out.